Calling the meeting of the Parks Commission for the City of Kansas City, Missouri to order. President Sharon is unable to be here today, so I will be acting in his behalf. Welcome all of you. We're running a little behind schedule on some of our pre-board items. We decided to bring out here today. Mark, would you do the introductions, please?
Sure, be glad to. The first item, Commissioners, is going to be presented by Brian Nowotny. And Brian is here today, and I know he's got a couple of his co-workers and a member of his Park Commission with him to talk about an item we've been discussing for some time regarding the Northland Sports and Recreation Commission. And I'll let Brian take it from there.
Well, thank you very much, Mark, and Commissioners, for this opportunity to come spend a little bit of time with you today to talk about a proposal that is very important to us in Platte County and our Platte County residents. As Mark said, my name is Brian Nowotny, and I'm the Director of Parks and Recreation for Platte County, and I'd like to introduce the Assistant Director for Parks, Jim Kuntz, and one of our Park Board members, Neil Davidson from Platte County. I'm going to give a quick introduction on the Sports Commission proposal that we wanted to talk to you a little bit about today. Then I'm going to ask Jim to come up and give you some of the details behind the intensive study that's been going on since 2011 for this project. The needs are many when it comes to offering programs and services to our youth, and that's across the city and no different in Platte County. We have many sports organizations that have been working for a long time, hardworking volunteers. I'm sure you know many of them working for kids throughout Kansas City and the Northland. There's actually about over 24 youth sports organizations in Platte County offering programs. And while they work very hard, there's only so much that volunteers can do. And so a couple of years ago, with their input, we convened a citizens committee to look at different areas and different needs that they have in the areas of being able to offer adequate recreation programs to meet the needs of the community. We actually have developed new facilities over the last 10 years in partnership with you, many great projects. Tiffany Hills Park, the Springs Aquatic Center, Platte Purchase Park. But we've got facilities that are going unused because the volunteer groups are overwhelmed, and so they sit idle. And that's not the investment that the taxpayers made, so that facilities sit idle. Communication is huge, and we have volunteers who can only do so much when it comes to being a clearinghouse for information about recreation programs. And so if parents don't know what's being offered, how can they find the place for their child to go? Training, good training opportunities is something else that this committee took a look at, so that every coach can get the training they need. Every parent can rest assured that their child is working with a volunteer that's passed background checks and is safe to be able to work with their kids. Last but not least, maintenance of our parks. We've spent millions of dollars together of taxpayer money putting it into our parks, and they have to be well maintained. Maintenance starts the day you cut the ribbon, and those are challenges as well for our volunteer groups. Again, hardworking folks, but it's difficult to put together a comprehensive program for a community that Platte County is of 90,000 people. So we convened a great group of stakeholders of the various interest groups, the cities in Platte County, the park boards in Platte County, and the school districts. And to tell you a little bit about that process, just briefly on what we went through and the recommendations they made, I'd like to ask Jim to come up and kind of give you some of those highlights so you can understand kind of where we've been since 2011.
As Director McHenry and Director Nowotny mentioned, this has actually been something in consideration for quite a while. When a concept like this is presented, it can oftentimes seem like it's out of the blue or something new, but there's really a little bit of history to this. And so I was just going to summarize real quickly how we got here today from where we were. The evolution in the process of evaluating youth sports in Platte County and the concept of a youth sports commission has developed for quite a few years, but really kind of picked up pace in the past 5 years. This initially kind of began with Platte County's plat profile, strategic vision and goals plan, which was the county's overall planning effort for every department within the county. And that was adopted and approved by the county commission in May 2008. Kind of a spur off of that plan was the update to the Platte County Parks Master Plan, which was in May 2009. The plan was adopted by the county commission in '09, and one of the key recommendations that came out of that plan, which included surveys, focus groups, other public meetings, was that the county should evaluate youth recreation services and to actually consider the creation of a youth sports commission. The 2009 Parks Plan is what led us into the extension of our parks and sales tax in 2010. So when that was approved, we began to look at, what are the key items, objectives we want to accomplish. And again, the Youth Sports Commission, addressing the needs of Platte County youth, was recognized as a high priority. So in June of 2011, we actually convened the first committee of the youth sports study group. And the group consisted of over 60 different individuals. Now, they didn't meet, I don't believe they all met at one time, but over the period of a year or so, those 60 different individuals did meet and shared their input about youth sports and what was needed to make it better. During that 1 year period, we conducted a citizens committee survey. We actually had a student from Upper Iowa University do a research paper on youth sports in Platte County and the development of a youth sports commission. That was Robert Muncie who presented that. We also conducted facility inventories to evaluate what amenities were available, what venues might be considered as part of the kind of the scope of the sports commission. And then we also met with representatives from the Blue Valley Recreation District to get their input on how they're set up and how that works. And then we also had a meeting with all the school district athletic directors. And so we got a lot of good input. The final meeting of the study group was in February of 2012. And from that last meeting, the group recommended two specific action items. One was to create a sports commission. The second action item was to develop a marketing strategy to support that new commission. And then the last action that the county took was in December of 2012, when the commission passed a resolution in support of creating a Platte County KCMO Sports Commission. So that's kind of the quick summary of how we got here today. And do I need to pass it back off to you, Brian?
Neil, anything you'd like to add to that?
Neil Davidson, Platte County Park Board. All I might say was that you and we both know the value of all of these wonderful friends groups, and this is just kind of another friends group. Anything that they can do for us, that much less work that we have to do, let them do it themselves. They do a better job. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, as you could tell from Jim's update, there was a great deal of public input and stakeholder input in this recommendation that was made and the ultimate action that was taken by our county commission in December to endorse the concept of the sports commission. The proposals that would be a nonprofit 501c3 type organization that would act as an umbrella group to work with the various sports associations. Again, over 24 currently offering programs now in Platte County and Kansas City. So be able to give them the support and professional guidance in terms of being able to communicate the marketing plan and be able to get the word out to parents and be able to provide that support to them for coaches training and really the best practices that our kids need today. And then also be a safety net as needed. This is not a proposal that an organization would immediately come in from day one and take over any particular park operation, quite the opposite. But it would create a safety net so that if there are deficiencies, if there are organizations that have gone as far as they can in the future as volunteers and they need that support, so that the programs are still offered, so that they're not lost to the community and we have to go out of state or in other areas for our parents to be able to get these programs that they're looking for. That safety net would be in place, and it would be made up of appointed individuals jointly as the proposal between the county and your board right here for interested citizens to serve as citizen volunteers on that board with support from staff, both from the county and from the Kansas City, Missouri Parks Department and other organizations that would like to be a part of it. So we want it to be very inclusive with chairs at the table for all the interested parties, including the existing sports associations in the school district. But the genesis, the beginning of it, would be this joint establishment by the city and the county. We'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
It sounds great, and I am not surprised. I mean, you all do just wonderful work up there, and I guess for my fellow commissioners, Platte County, a decade ago, had this park tax that many forward-thinking leaders up in Platte County passed, and because of that, we've been able to do several projects up there. We have a fabulous partnership with Brian and his staff, and it's wonderful.
Thank you.
So it's a great thing, and this is another great thing. So thank you for all you do.
You're welcome. We really see it as the next logical step, working together. We've been focusing a lot, as we said before, on facility, great new parks and aquatic centers, and this is the next logical step to work out the partnership and keep the very inclusive operation for all.
Thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
The only comment I'd make is it's just another indication of the various partnerships that this Kansas City, Missouri Parks Department has throughout the city with various organizations that maximize our ability to provide recreational facilities and activities for the children of the city. And basically, along with that, with partnering with Platte County, we've been able to double our money in the way of putting together programs and assets for these kinds of things. And these are the kinds of partnerships that have, in very, very lean years, allowed us to move forward rather than to fall backwards. And we thank you very much and look forward to working with the Alliance.
Yes, sir. I agree. Thank you.
Any more questions? Just one thing, I think one thing you might want to mention, Brian, is that I think you would like to have from this commission at a future meeting a resolution that would parallel the resolution from the Platte County Commissioners. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So we could draft something up along that line and bring it to this board at a future meeting.
Yeah, that would be a good start.
Very good.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Brian.
Brian, thank you.
Thank you.
Neil, thanks. The next item, firefighters art design concept presentation. Mark?
Yeah, I'm going to make a couple opening comments, and then Jocelyn is going to come to the podium and introduce our guests and talk about the project. You may be aware, there's been several fire stations built throughout this city in the last few years, I think about 15 of them. And the funds from the 1% for art for those different fire stations has been put into a pool, one funding document to put the dollars to work, and all that directed toward the firefighters fountain, which is down there at 31st and Broadway. And working with Municipal Art Commission, members of the Kansas Missouri Fire Department, the City of Fountains Foundation, and the Penn Valley Conservancy, and then there again Jocelyn from our staff has been coordinating the effort with Porter Arneal. They have a concept to show you for the future of the firefighters fountain.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I'm going to hand out a little handout here that will give you an idea of what we're talking about. I'm sorry I didn't post posted on boards to make it more visible, but
Just passing them down.
top file here. As Mark said, we've been working with the Arts Commission and the Fire Department to come up with a piece of art that will add to the site that is currently the firefighters' memorial. It's a very popular and treasured site. Everybody's very affectionate about it. It has a few issues, and we're hoping to be able to address some of those issues at the same time in the artwork. So the proposal that you have there, let me backtrack. The goals that we kind of started with for this project, first of all, we had the main goal of creating a new piece of artwork. That's what the 1% for art money was for, and so that was one of the primary goals. The other things we wanted to do were accomplish some of the issues, fixing some of the issues that we had on the site. Primarily among those is the fact that the names that are engraved in the granite around the circle and back have some errors in the names, some of the dates, some of the spelling, and there are some names that were left off. And with all of that, they're just out of space, so there's no place to add any future names if there should be a need. In fact, I have just a couple more pictures that you can just pass around to show the site, and that shows the last plaque with the names.
Oh.
There's just sort of one of each of those, so if you could pass them on. We had a number of other issues with the site that we'd like to renovate. One of them being there's no shade at the site, so it's quite hot. And so we kind of asked the artist to look at our wish list and address whatever she could. And we had a call for artists in 2011. In 2012, the selection committee chose an artist from Arizona named Barbara Grigudis. And she is well known for sort of large site installation art, different kinds of things. So we were hoping that she will be able to address a number of different issues, or any of the different issues in her artwork. And the proposal that she has brought, she came to visit the site once in January and met with the steering committee. She came back in May with 3 proposals. And I stress that this is a very general proposal. The objects in her drawings are placeholders. It's very conceptual. There's not an actual shape or an actual item. She shows a kind of wall structure. It's not necessarily guaranteed that's the shape it'll be, but she just wanted to get a general direction from both the steering committee and then from the Arts Commission and the Parks Board, and see if that was a direction that we'd like her to pursue. So the concept that was favored by the steering committee is the one that you have in the last 3 pages of that handout. And it basically has some of the following ideas. She eliminated the landscaped area. There's a small triangle area between the fountain and the circle in the back of the site, which blocks the view of the back of the site and the circle and kind of creates a little sense of that it's separated. So part of the proposal is to remove that landscaped area, which is overgrown, and create in that same location some kind of semi-transparent wall-type form where the names would be relocated from the circle area forward onto that wall. And then there's a sole sculptural figure at the back in the circle, and he will move with the names because it's kind of critical that he stays with the names. He's a very somber sculpture. He's beautiful. And he needs to be with the names as they are relocated. So those both would move into this area just behind the fountain and improve the relationship between the sculpture of the soul figure and the sculptures in the fountain. And it will also give us the opportunity to add more names and correct all the names. The other elements that she is proposing is especially the main element is to cover the circle with a sculptural roof of some kind of shade structure. As you can see in the illustrations of what she has done before, she uses a lot of laser cut metal. And so what she's going to look at is some kind of laser cut or other metal structure that would be a sculpture in itself and also provide some shade and enclosure to that circular area. And by taking the sculpture out of that space, the figure, it opens up that whole circular area to be an event space, which would be a much more usable space. One of the other complaints people have had with that circular area is that it has a wall all the way around, and some people feel a little bit trapped in that space. And so part of the proposal is to open a couple of openings in that wall to allow it to relate better to the park beyond. And her sculptural ceiling or roof piece would probably arc actually in the opposite direction from what is in the illustrations to frame the view to the north out of the circle and across to downtown and across the park. So those are sort of the basic elements. We've asked to make sure that she includes some lighting into that structure, and as you can see, most of her work does usually include lighting, and so she's probably going to be incorporating that. Also some seating. Probably there'll be seating near the wall and the figure, as well as in the circular area. The other thing that I have here, two of my cohorts from the fire department, Deputy Chief Jeff Grote and Deputy Chief John Neely. And they came up with the brilliant idea that once we remove the names from the circular area, they would like to maybe include some historic information about the fire department in that space so that it becomes a little bit more of a display area for information. And you had some ideas on that. Did you want to address that?
Well, what I did is I spoke with Ray Elder. He
If you
is
could
our-
come forward to the microphone,
I'm
please.
sorry.
Thank you very much.
What I did is I spoke with Ray Elder, who is our historian, and I talked to him on Wednesday of this last week and said, hey, I need something by Friday. You think that he would laugh, but he didn't, because he has all this stuff in his head. And he came up with, I told him to come up with about 20 ideas, and in a couple of days he came up with 21. So there were, like the inception of the fire department, when it began, the first steam engine, when George Hale started, all of those things were in here. And there's several other, tragic events, the Southwest Boulevard fire, the explosion, all of those things. But there's some other things in here that are very interesting that we think that the citizens and the fire department would find interesting to be able to read for the history.
By opening up that circle to a slightly different altered use, it gives it a little more flexibility. And again, it makes it an event space. And it allows us to fix some drainage issues in the center, too. So that's the nutshell version. Is there any questions?
I think it looks good. People see the fountain there, but they sort of forget everything beyond there, and so it's nice that this will visualize, make it a focal point a little bit on past the fountain. So, and I like how it's opened up, because that's a beautiful land area behind it too that goes in down to Penn Valley
Yes.
Park. So.
And it kind of connects the memorial more to the park and vice versa. So.
How tall is the wall?
It's shown a little too tall there and
Yeah.
a little too close together, and there will be an opening in the center, and the wall would be semi-transparent. She hasn't decided how tall, or even that it would be all one piece.
Okay.
And we asked her to make sure that it's not a really good hiding place, because that's always one of the concerns. You don't want a wall that's someplace people can hide behind.
Right.
So it would be, yeah, she hasn't decided. She hasn't. She's going to come back in September with a more concrete proposal once she gets sort of the go-ahead to pursue this general direction. That's really what we're at right now.
And I think that's what you're saying, Dea Jocelyn, is the group heading in the right direction?
Right, exactly. She just wants some assurance that she's not going off in a direction that will be shot down later.
Would you also, for the board, let them know who else was on the steering committee?
Absolutely.
Ask about Penn Valley.
We have, our steering committee includes a representative from the Penn Valley Park
Conservancy.
Conservancy, thank you, who's Frank Urias. And we have Tom Bean and Porter O'Neill from City Hall and the Arts Commission, and Arzu Mali from the UMKC Women's Center, and especially, and of course, Commissioner Charmand, who isn't here today, and Joe Galletti is the retired fire captain, and Deputy Chief Grote and Deputy Chief Neely, and Pat Dunn he's representing City
City of
Fountains
Fountains
Foundation
Foundation
primarily.
is representing it too. And then I also
Mark.
understand that Porter did present this to the Municipal Art Commission.
And yes, Porter presented this to the Municipal Art Commission, I believe, last week. And they asked their primary comment, he said they liked it. They wanted to make sure that the
Right.
art element over the circle was more interesting than what is shown.
And I believe Frank is going to present this to the Pink Valley Park Conservancy at
Yes,
their next meeting.
at their next meeting, yes.
And you presented it to the City of Fountains Foundation Board meeting last Wednesday.
Yes, that's right.
Anything else?
Thank you very much. I think the concept of opening up the fountain to the park and vice versa, the park to the fountain, will be nothing but beneficial for all. The only question I have is the shelter itself, what it's going to look like.
Right.
A little, I mean, the shape and size, but the materials and that type of situation would be the only concern that I might have on it, that it blend in and that it be park-like rather than, you know, heavy structural. But thank you very much for the presentation, all the work that's gone into it. It's, again, one of our many fantastic fountains in the City of Fountains, and we always appreciate the opportunity to participate in the enhancement of these items. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
With that being done, let's get into the regular agenda of the meeting. I would consider approval of the minutes of the June 4th Parks Board.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the other comment I would make is, Mary Jane, thank you for now joining us, and this is your first full official meeting as a member. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
And here we go. Okay, Waterworks Park Master Plan update.
Yes, Commissioners, Richard Allen, who did the master plan for Waterworks Park, is here to present, and I know we have some guests from the neighborhood as well, and I'm sure you'll introduce them during the course of your presentation.
Okay.
And with that, Richard Allen, it's all yours.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Today, we're looking for approval of the revisions to the Waterworks Park Master Plan. Today, from the Briarcliff Community Alliance, we have Patsy Evans, Bill Fry, and then from the Disc Golf Club, Jack Lowe. We also worked with Larry Childress and Aaron Beeman from the Briarcliff Community Alliance. Waterworks Park is located in the 4th Council District. It's 58 acres in size. It's located between North Main and North Oak, about northeast 32nd Street. The water plant is on the south border of the park. And just to give you a quick history of the park, the park was developed by water work employees in the 1930s. And in their free time and materials, they developed a place for people to recreate, for the families of the water department and also the residents up north. And then just kind of picture this, it's 1936, it's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Everybody starts loading up their cars or what else, and they head out to Waterworks Park to watch the fireworks display. At that time, they had 25 stone picnic barbecue grills. They had 100 concrete tables and 200 benches. Awesome views of the downtown skyline, views of the Missouri River, and that's where people used to like to go. And then with World War II, they had to close the park temporarily for threats for the water plant. They reopened it in 1950s. They restored a lot of the original improvements, and then the place has been a great park to go to over the years. we had a series of meetings on Briarcliff Greenway Trail last year, and out of that meeting, they said, we need to do something with Waterworks Park. And so through the Briarcliff Community Alliance, they help us organize a series of neighborhood meetings. They were well attended, and there was about 4 or 5. And at those meetings, we just opened it up. Is what do you like about Waterworks Park? What don't you like? What are your concerns? How do we address these? And out of those meetings, we developed a master plan. And the master plan graphic is right here. And in the upper left side is an example of a playground that may go into the park. Below that is a picture of a stone shelter. Below that is an example of a bioswale that you may find in a park. Below that is some metal picnic tables that we've used over at Luce Park that would maybe fit well in the park. Also sand volleyball. And below that is views of the downtown skyline. On the right side is another example of a shelter. Another one is an example of a metal bench. Example of swings below that. Below that is somebody playing frisbee golf. And below that is the lights, example of lights or a picnic table. And again, on the bottom is it's a view of Case Park, the overlook. And so we presented this plan at these neighborhood meetings, and they developed a priority list that they would like to see these improvements made in. And one of their priority ones is pedestrian lighting. Their priority 2 would be shelter. Priority 3 would be a restroom. And then a priority 4 would be restoration of the views of the overlook or the downtown skyline. And then a walking trail. And then also improvements to the existing disc golf. We not only worked with the residents, we also worked with the different city departments. We had the police department there. We had city development there. We had public works there. And so these were well-attended meetings, and with that, I'm not going to really show the board, but on the bottom is the water treatment plan. Up top is residential area, and then off to the side is North Oak and North Main. And then also, as the park is developed, we would like to see pedestrian access to the park off of North Main and then also off of North Oak. And so the development of some sidewalks up to the park. How would we fund this master plan? Our plan is to phase it through different phasing plans through neighborhood PIAC funds. We'll go after citywide PIAC funds, and then hopefully we can get a private donor interested in overlook of the park. And with that, I'm going to see if Patsy Evans would like to make any comments.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi.
Well, I'm a 38 resident of the Briarcliff area neighborhood. I've lived up there for many years in a 77-year-old house, in the same house. I also serve on the Briarcliff Community Alliance Board. The current BCA board members total about 11 who reside or work in the various neighborhoods in the Briarcliff community or serve as an advisor to the group. The Briarcliff Community Alliance is a nonprofit organization established in 2003 to support neighborhood and community development and enhancement projects within the Briarcliff area community. BCA represents about 28 neighborhoods within the area of Highway 9 to the south, Vivian Road to the north, North Oak Traffic Way to the east, and Riverside to the west. And as Richard explained, Waterworks Park adjoins our neighborhoods on the southern edge, just north of Highway 9, and has the overlook of the city. And Richard explained how they undertook the master plan study, came out of neighborhood meetings in our area, probably started with input regarding Waterworks Park last November of 2012,
And we had about a series of 3 to 4 meetings and had our most recent meeting on June the 4th, at which time Parks and Recreation staff presented this revised version, which all of the neighbors who attended seemed to be very happy with. So we think that Parks and Rec did an outstanding job of compiling all the residents' ideas and interests, which culminated in this final version. So as a result, BCA is going to be applying for the city's year 2013-14 PIAC funds at the initial 4th District PIAC hearing this week. And BCA's application will be for 3 selected components of Waterworks Park Master Plan that we felt most neighbors indicated were the highest priorities. And in our application, we will request funding for the new shelter, a new restroom, and new pedestrian lighting. And we are referring to that as Phase 1 in our PIAC application for purposes of that application. So I do have just a brief outline of our PIAC application, if anyone would be interested to see it, without without any attachments that we are planning to include. Would anybody be interested to take a look?
Yeah, if you have,
That's
sure.
great, Patsy, sure, thank you.
Yeah, I think Richard's pretty well
Yeah.
identified it. If there's just
Okay.
And we are really pleased with how this project came out as a community project. We've had some trouble with non-communication in the past, but on various projects, but BCA is really taking strident efforts to keep everybody informed through a series of neighborhood meetings, and we also have a free weekly e-newsletter that goes out to currently 375 neighbors are signed up on it. So, and we have advised them of our intention to apply for PIAC funds on that e-newsletter.
What's, you mentioned the 3, how much money are we talking about for those 3 that you'll be requesting?
Well, it comes to a total of, based on the Parks and Rec's master plan cost estimate, shelter and restroom is a total of $350,000. New lighting is a total of $275,000 for a total of $625,000. We do have a current private family trust gift, though, that would be dedicated to this project of about $89,728. And if we get some PIAC funding approved, then we hope to use that as leverage to go forward to some possible private donors or corporations or foundations. We might want to check with the staff at the Greater Kansas City Community Foundation and the Northland Community Foundation as well.
Good, good.
Quiz?
Well, sounds great.
You guys have any questions?
Yeah.
A comment, this was originally, I think, designed, I don't know if it was said earlier, as recreation facility for Waterworks employees way back. And having lived in the Northland my entire life, one of the exciting things when I was preteen and even a teenager was going up to Waterworks and watching the Connies fly over only about 100 feet above you when they were landing at Old Municipal Airport. And that was an exciting adventure along with the fireworks displays and everything. It is a historic park, and I think the overlook of Kansas City downtown is something that's, if you haven't tried it, you ought to take a look at it because it's as good a view of downtown Kansas City as you can get anywhere. So it has been falling in disrepair, been in somewhat neglect, and has had some issues like all of our parks have from time to time. But with community involvement and promised sweat equity, I'm sure that we can get a few things done. And I thank you very much for your presentation.
Okay, and then I'd like to introduce a fellow BCA board member, Bill Fry, who's also a longtime Briarcliff area resident. And some of you may already know Bill through his professional work and company he founded, Fry and Associates, which is park and playground equipment sales, design, and installations.
Okay.
Bill?
That's good.
Sure.
I'm Bill Fry. I'm a resident of, about 34 years. I live 2 blocks up the hill on North Main, And I, like Patsy, live in a house that was built approximately 80 years ago. The Evans, actually, the land was sold off the Evans Mansion plot up there, and Dr. Anderson lived there for years, and we purchased it from him. We're the second owners of the house. The thing I think is important about this particular park is it doesn't have ball fields, it doesn't have soccer fields, so I think this park has so much character from the past that needs to be restored and put back in as a image for the city. I think that's so important, and make it a multi-generational park. I see, what is it, Baca, the ball, the Italian. I see things more like that, horseshoes.
Bocce ball.
Yeah, bocce ball, that's it. And the Frisbee, I tell you what, in the original part of that Frisbee golf, to me, I thought, but you know what? Our kids need to get out and walk, and if you go watch the people that play Frisbee golf walk the hills and go from tee to hole, that thing, that's wonderful. So I see that as a health benefit to our community and more people involved. And a shelter, the first phases, will bring people in, and as you know, when you bring more people in, as the police told us a long time ago, which I thought my reservations, other things leave, and that's a good thing about cleaning the park up. But that park needs to be brought back because it is part of the history of this city. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, sure, Alan.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you all for being here, and I also wanted to thank Richard and Mark for pulling everybody together. And I think this is a great example of the neighborhoods, everybody working together to really produce something really nice. As we know that these started from some other meetings and then morphed into this, and this is a beautiful, beautiful park on the northern bluff up there, and so I'm really excited to see this. And I had one question. You showed the Case Park here. I made all the meetings but this last one.
Yes.
And you must have talked to the last one, the Case Park and the right down there on the right.
Okay.
How does that? What were your thoughts on that?
I think on the overlook can be as simple as leaving the existing asphalt road and parking and clearing the view. Or you could have some nice stone walls that lead up to the overlook, and then have a nice stone retaining wall, some steps down, and then maybe some type of ornamental feature. And so I think that area has a lot of potential to interest private donors, that we can make it as simple as we want, or we can make it as nice as we want. And Case Park would be a good example to kind of strive towards.
Yeah, okay.
And since it's called Waterworks Park, I think we have a probable partner in the city,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or at least we'll try.
Yes, we will try.
Okay. Well, thank you for
Thank you very much.
Jack, would you
Thank
like
you
to
all.
say something?
And thank you so much for talking about our Frisbee golf. I will let you guys know, we just had a tournament with 309 players from Australia, Sweden, New Zealand that came. Waterworks Park, year after year, is in the top 10 of professional disc golf athletes across the world when they get to play here. It's been here, I think, since 1995, 96. So we're excited about helping, and love the enthusiasm with the new group. We've been kind of a constant in there, and the group's kind of changed, but this group seems really cohesive and together with their plan and their mannerisms and what they're trying to do. We look forward to seeing all the changes and the amenities that's going to help continue to lure this place for everybody to come enjoy as well. So that's really about all I can say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
While you're here, Jack, would you tell the board where else you played this past weekend?
We played Waterworks. We played out here at Swope, and we also played at our Blue Valley Park at 23rd and Topping. And we gave away over $27,000 in cash to the pros, and then another $25,000 in prizes to the amateurs. We had a support crew of countless volunteer hours, as well as support from multiple districts within Parks and Rec as well for this huge event. It's our 31st year of doing it, and I cannot say thank you enough to all of you and all of your organizations and the people. Mark even took a couple hours out of his life to come and do an interview with us on our discgolfplanet.tv that I'm going to try to get formatted, because you don't need to see all of it, but you need to see the parks when they come into action. So it really was a fun time, and I thank you so much for the use of all your parks. We're looking forward to continued improvements at Cliff Drive, Hodge Park, as well as coming up on the platter here, and then Hidden Valley as well. There's a course in the process. So our sport's growing, and it's through the support and partnership with you guys that we work hard to continue to see the sport explode throughout the community. And that's what makes Kansas City a disc golf mecca. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks.
Okay, before us is resolution number 30054. You didn't let me finish. Approval of revised Waterworks master plan. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Sorry.
Moving on, consideration of license and facility use concession agreement with American Rose Society.
Yes, Commissioners, this is third annual, I believe it is, an event called Wine and Roses at Loose Park in partnership with the Kansas City Rose Society. And Shannon has a memo, and she will explain and introduce our guests.
Thank you, Mr. McHenry. Good afternoon, Commissioners.
And-
The agreement before you is for an approval with the American Rose Society for the third annual Wine and Roses, which happens in our beautiful Laura Conyer Smith Municipal Rose Garden in Loose Park. Arlen Sylvia is here with me today to give you a little bit of background, what happened last year and what's in store for this year's event. It's going to happen Thursday, September 26th, moving it up a little bit, get more of the roses to pop. So Arlen's here to give you some information.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Yes, the Kansas City Rose Society would very much like to hold their third annual Wine and Roses fundraising event to benefit the Laura Conyer Smith Municipal Rose Garden in September 26th, 5:30 to 7. We charge $75 for this event. And it's not just about raising funds, it's about drawing people into the garden, promoting the garden as a very special place and a place to celebrate. We have, the second year, we doubled our attendance. Last year, even though it turned out to be in the 40s, we brought in space heaters, made it very pretty, very cozy, but it worked. And this year I brought one of our board members, Cindy Lang, with me. Cindy is in charge of public relations for the Rose Society. And with her magic, we hope to, or plan to, increase our attendance again, at least double it. So we send out about 750 invitations, and we have also secured, I believe, Sprint to be our underwriter again. The Bristol Seafood Grill caters the event, and we have live jazz music also planned. So once again, we hope it'll be very special, and we look forward to it. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it.
Before us is resolution number 3055, consideration of board approval for agreement with the American Rose Society for third annual Wine and Roses. I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second? Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lease agreement with the Kansas City Power and Light for the use of park right-of-way property 6th and Street and Charlotte.
Yes, Commissioners, we have a lease agreement. Denise Phillips from our Contract Management Division has been working on this, and I think she may have a few opening comments, and then I know we have representatives here from the Kansas City Power and Light Company to talk about the details. Denise.
Good afternoon. Paul Moran from Kansas City Power and Light will present the specifics, but we have been working for a number of months with Kansas City Power and Light. They've determined that an additional substation needs to be constructed in the city in order to meet customer needs, and approached us about using a piece of basically right-of-way, boulevard right-of-way, to have the entrance into a piece of property which I believe is owned by MoDOT. And so they're going to come and talk about this. There will be compensation for the lease. It'll be a long-term lease. And in addition, they are vacating a street, and we will have the opportunity to The way the vacation works is that half of the piece of property reverts to the property that it's next to, and half would revert to us as the city. And so we're in a position where we can also participate in that commerce. So I will turn it over to Paul to answer the questions on the project, and I can answer any additional questions.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. May it please the Commission, my name is Paul Moore, and I'm with Kansas City Power and Light's Real Estate Department. As Denise mentioned, we are looking to construct a substation at the intersection of 6th Street and Charlotte Street at the very northeast corner of the downtown loop. It's kind of shown here as a property that we own where we plan on constructing the substation. We need to construct this substation because essentially the existing power supply corridor down there supplies about 2/3 of the power for the downtown area. That system is getting older. We see in the future that we're going to need to make some repairs to that supply corridor. So we plan on constructing a substation down there. It will be a 4-transformer substation. It will be fully enclosed by a wall, a high wall on the backside near I-70 to keep water from the highway from coming into the substation. And as Denise mentioned, as part of the conditions for the vacation we have already petitioned for, the city has required 3 things. One, that an easement be retained over the existing alley, which is right here, for a sewer line that currently exists. The second condition is that any part of the Admiral Boulevard right-of-way be removed from the vacation, which we have done. And the third is to enter into some type of agreement, as Denise said, a lease agreement with the Parks Board to lease portions of Parks property for access to the substation and for feeder exit access. The sole access to the substation will be through this yellow hatched area here. We will have to approach heading westbound on Admiral and come into our substation here. It will be our only access, which is not optimal, but is workable in this situation. The second part of the lease is going to be a lease agreement for feeder exit here. Everything in the substation will be underground, including the underground transmission going into the sub and the underground feeder exits going out of the sub. Essentially, that's what we're here for today, to seek your approval for the lease agreement with us. You guys have any questions?
So on Admiral, so just right of the picture there, that's where the highway is? And is that where I'm trying to get my
Yes, sir.
bearing?
This is I-35 ramp
Where they just redid that?
and I-70 ramp. Yes.
Okay, and then that next street, so the street over, so if you go on down, that one, so the
This
next
is Charlotte.
one. Right, so the next one down is.
This is 6th
Oak.
Street.
I was thinking.
Oh, further west is Oak.
Yeah, is the bridge is on down further?
it's 2
I'm just trying
blocks
to think.
to
Right.
Oak.
Okay,
Right.
exactly where this is, okay.
And like I said, we purchased this property in 2007. Its current size prohibits us from putting in a 4-transformer substation, which is what is needed to serve the capacity downtown.
So you're putting in 3?
We're going to put in 4 transformers.
Oh, okay.
That's our plan. And the reason we need the additional property and the reason we petitioned for the vacation is because 2 of the transformers are going to stick out into what is now 6th Street.
And then when you vacate that, you get that piece of land.
Yes, sir, in a way. We would get the north half of 6th Street,
The north
since we are an
half.
abutting landowner. The south half of 6th Street would revert to the city
Correct.
since.
You split the difference.
They own Admiral. Also, the second part of that is we would get the west 7.5 feet of this alley, and MoDOT would get the east 7.5 feet of that alley. And we are working with MoDOT to reach an agreement on purchasing that tract. And we've also worked with several of the surrounding property owners, one of which is, we worked with Stacy Smiley of Sheet Metal and Supply. We held meetings with the state of Missouri that owns the property down here. I think it's for the mentally handicapped. And we met with Sunny Hotels, which is the property owner over here. And we also met with the Manhattan Apartments and condominiums, which is off the map over further to the west. And we also met with the Columbus Park Neighborhood Association. all of which, except for one, had fairly positive things to say about the project.
Who was the one and what did they say?
Sunny Hotels wasn't very excited about the project. They use this, as you can see, for overflow parking for the hotel. But that was presented to the city council, and they did approve the vacation ordinance. They have alternative routes to use for parking down there.
So there's 2 tracks that are subject to the same lease agreement. Is that what you were saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so in the portion in yellow, there's a legal for that, and but it's only a portion of the
Yes,
fee
ma'am.
that's owned by Parks?
Yes, ma'am. The legal found in the current lease describes and
Or the
depicts this
draft of the
area
lease?
here.
Okay.
Yes. There's a legal and an exhibit that describe and depict this area here, and there's a legal and an exhibit that describe and depict this area here.
Okay. Even into the street is part of the lease?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Admiral Boulevard, since it is a boulevard, we
Okay, I
believe
got it.
that fee
I got it.
ownership is vested in the parks.
What's in that little island in between, right there?
This island right here is just essentially grass and trees. We're going to attempt to retain as many of the trees as possible. Any disturbance done during the course of construction, it will be restored to its current condition or better. We'll go through and plant seed and
Try to keep the screening in place.
Yes, sir.
Will there be any oversight or approval on the kind of wall and the kind of barrier for visual purposes on this, or is this, once it's approved?
Well, once this lease is approved, that's going to trigger us going back to the city for the filing of the ordinance. Then we have to go through the procedure to obtain the south half of 6th Street. Once that is approved, this lease will kick in, and that will trigger us to start the actual designing of the wall and the designing of the substation. We haven't got so far as to design the wall yet, but it will be totally enclosed.
Okay.
There will be a wall on all 4 sides.
And the lease does call, as all of our long-term lease does do, which include construction on our property, that the plans will be submitted to us for review.
Great,
And
fantastic.
we have a long-standing relationship with them about that.
Is he really going to make any comments?
Would you like to make any comments? No. How she go? Just along as declaration.
Does everybody know him early?
No.
Gonna make you say something, Maria. Introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Merle McMurray, and I'm with KCP&L. I'm in the Public Affairs Department. So Paul and I have been going to the communities and neighborhoods and businesses around the area to talk to them about the project. This was been a year and a half ago. So once we get further down the line, we'll go back again and to show them the plans and have the discussions there. Hi.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, before us is resolution number 30056, considering board approval for a lease agreement with Kansas City Power and Light for the use of right-of-way at 6th and Charlotte Streets. Are there any further questions? If not, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion's carried. Considering board approval for amendment number 1, agreement with KC Hoop LLC in the 2013 Mayor's Night Club KC amount of $9,350.
Yes, Commissioners, you have a memo in your packet from Mark Bolin, and as you indicated, Mr. President today, Dave Mecklenburg, April 9th is when we entered this contract, and this is amendment number 1 for $9,350. And it's with, of course, KC Hoops, and Mark is here to maybe add a little more detail to this and answer any questions you might have.
If no specific questions, Commissioners, Mark Boland, Manager of Community Services. What we had attempted to do was to, on June 1st, to make available both nights at Hillcrest Community Center for high school students. Prior to that, it was only available for middle school on Friday and Saturday for high schools. with the large numbers of young people that we had at Brush Creek on both Fridays and Saturdays, which consisted of high school students, we felt that if we opened up Hillcrest one additional night, some of the overflow numbers, and actually some of the kids weren't able to get into Brush Creek, they would then go to Hillcrest Community Center. Therein lies the need for additional marketing services from Reggie Hines and his company, to provide an additional 10 weeks of marketing to get young people more interested in Hillcrest, or maybe not even more interested, but more knowledgeable about the other programs for high school students at Hillcrest Community Center.
Okay. Are there any questions?
No, I'd just like to say, though, that I appreciate that we're being flexible and assessing where the needs are and making sure that we do our best to, accommodate the kids and what they want to do. But this is, I don't know if this is related, and maybe we need to talk about this offline, but when we say that we use social media to reach out to the kids, are we only doing social media towards kids that, we are Facebook friends with, or where are we utilizing like the Facebook advertising where you can pay and it blasts to all Facebook users within a certain demographic? It targets age, it targets geographic region, and it kind of will have a broader reach than just expecting people to come to us. We could go to them as far as
I'm sure that we're
the
not
message.
just doing our Facebook, but Reggie has Facebook addresses for all of those kids who are participating in the program, so they're broadcasting it out.
I'm sorry, what I meant like all the partners. But the Facebook advertising allows you to pay a very nominal fee, and you can do it, if you want to advertise on this day, this time, or for this span of time. And then you can pick the different demographics that you want to target. So you say, I want to target age group 14 to 18, living in Kansas City, Missouri, and it sends, you show up on the right-hand column of their Facebook screen. So they don't have to come to the KC fan page or group page. It gets blasted directly to them, to people that aren't already linked in to us.
I'll check with Reggie to see exactly how he looks to do his, and if in fact he's doing what you're recommending.
Okay.
I guess the other question I have is, how's attendance going this year?
Great. We're about, 1/4 of the way through. We're about 3,600 kids at all locations. So we have another 6,000 more kids that we need to, we said we were going to have 10,000 kids this summer. Right now, we're at 3,677.
Great. And we had a bad weather weekend, too.
Yeah.
So that didn't help us any. Okay, great. Any other questions? Would entertain a motion for approval of resolution number 30057.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Considering board approval for facility concession agreement with Northland Swim Conference for use of Springs Aquatic Center.
Yes, Commissioners, this is a facility use agreement. Mark can answer some specific questions on this. I think this is about the third or fourth year, is that?
Fourth year.
Fourth year. The Northland Swim, this is a competitive part of their season, July 22nd through 23rd at the Springs. And there again, Mark might add some more detail, and he's here to answer any questions.
I just want to say thank you for working with them. It's exciting to have them up there. This is the, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I think it's the largest swim conference that we have in the city, if not in the region. It's huge. And it's been a great success, I think, of attending. Both my girls swim in it. And anyway, it's nice to have it up there. It's a great facility, and I'm tickled to death that it's gone back there, and I'm glad that this worked out. So thanks for everything.
And I would like to say, I know I would have appreciated the time several years ago when my daughter was in the Northland Conference. We always had to hunt for a place to have the final competition in the summer, and it's great that we're able to provide that activity. So if there are any other questions, would entertain a motion or approval of motion. Okay.
So moved.
Resolution 30058, considering board approval of facility concession agreement with Northland Swim Conference for use of Springs Aquatic Center. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent.
Okay. Considering board approval for change order number 1 with Gunter Construction for Emmanuel 2, Cleaver
Yes.
2 Boulevard Streetscape Project.
Yes, Commissioners, you have a memo in your packet from Travis, and Travis is here to answer any questions you might have. And in essence, we entered into this contract with Gunter back in January of this year, and this is the first change order for $14,784.
Are there any questions about what the change order entails?
Yeah, I have some questions, or one question. So we're going back and revising some of these corner ramp designs for ADA compliance. Are we doing that throughout the system? Just to make sure, because I know that it's a big push.
When you,
for
when you mean
federal
throughout the
operators.
system, you mean
Our-
as we have projects?
Yeah, as-
Yes.
Yeah, not.
Yeah, not so much just picking an alignment of parkways or boulevards or public works streets, but as we have projects in those areas, then we're picking those up, all those curbs and ramps and so forth that need to be improved for ADA compliance and making them part of the project.
Yeah. Any reason that this was not included in the very beginning?
I think this was modifications. We had ADA improvements as part of the plans down there, but these were modifications made on those plans, on the original completed plans.
Okay. Good. Thanks, Travis.
Mhm.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Before us is resolution number 30059, considering approval of board change order number 1, Gunter Construction for Emmanuel Cleaver 2 Boulevard Streetscape Project. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Consideration of board approval, change order number 1 of D&D Custom Construction in the amount of $180,522 for the 2013 Boulevard Reconstruction Project.
Yes, Commissioners, again, a memo from Travis, and he's here if you have any specific questions. This contract was first entered into back in April of this year with D&D Custom Construction. And this change order, number 1, in essence, it's work out in front of this building is where the work's at, along 63rd Street from up here by the community center back to the location we're at right now at Manchester. Would recommend approval. And again, Travis here if you have any questions.
Are there any questions? Resolution 30060, considering board approval for change order number 1 of D&D Custom Construction. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, consideration of board approval for acceptance of gifts and contributions.
Yes, Commissioners, 4 gifts. Would recommend acceptance and approval.
Tell Steve he needs to come back and hand it to us personally so we can see
So you
him.
can see him. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
I talked to him, no way. Okay, resolution number 30061, considering board approval for gifts, attached gifts and contributions. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Director's report.
Yes, first up is Major Construction and Travis Kiefer.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. You'll find in front of you a couple of items, look like this, a 1-page and a 2-page. We'll start off with the Swope Park signage. I don't know how many of you have been around the park over there recently. Phase 2 of the signage project is underway over there, should be completed this summer. And there's a noticeable difference around the perimeter of the park when those signs went from a painted wood structure to the contrasting green and white that's out there now. It's highly visible, but yet blends in with the surroundings as far as not being hard on the eyes, but being easy to find. Heather Runkle's our project manager over there. The phase 2 of this project is $195,000 worth of signage, words and pictures as a contractor, and you can see some of the examples of what's being replaced there on the back of that page. Any questions on the signage? Very good. The second one, which some of you may be attending this Saturday, is improvements to the Great Clyce Community Center. That's a $133,000 contract with N.W. Rogers Construction, and the original contract was awarded back in January and included a building addition for a new chemical room and the Whirlpool Spa, ADA upgrades to the men and women's locker rooms, and elimination of the old steam room. And in May, we had a change order added on, additional painting, pool work, more shower partitions, and the major component of that was fitness room flooring. The facility is scheduled for the grand reopening on this Saturday. You can see some of the photographs. That's a new whirlpool being dropped into that addition. It's on the front side of the building as you pull in. Next page, you can see some of the before and after shots there of the sink area and the men's locker room, as well as the shower area. Major improvements.
Fantastic. Looks very nice.
Yeah, it really does.
Okay.
Bathrooms look better than my bathroom.
Do you want to talk about this, Travis?
I'll let Mark pass around the award. We were recipients of AEC award, and that was for the Blue River Indian Creek Confluence project. Richard Allen, that was here earlier, was a project manager on that project. Trans Systems was a consultant, and that award was presented. I think it was actually given in April, but we just received our copy of it this week, and
National Trails Day event on June 1st.
that's correct.
Any other questions? Travis, thank you very much.
Heidi?
Nope, public hearing, sorry.
Right.
Nope. No. Oh, marketing report, I'm sorry.
Skip it.
Well, you ignored me the last time, so I'll get even.
I'll make it short and sweet for you. We have had an extremely busy June, though. Immediately after last board meeting, we had the governor in town to kick off his 100 Missouri Miles initiative, and that was a great event out at Luce Park. We had probably about 100 people there to walk with Director McHenry and the governor as they led the way through Luce Park. So that was exciting for us to be able to kick off that challenge, I guess, that goes out to all residents of the state of Missouri. Following that, we had the Dragon Boat Race and Festival on Brush Creek, and we won.
Yay.
The Blazing Paddles
Who did we
redeemed
attribute our win
themselves.
to? Was it all John Paul?
It was all John Paul, yeah. Actually, I wasn't on the boat this year, so I'm afraid it might be me that was holding us back, but that's okay. They did a great job, and congratulations to KC Parks Blazing Paddles for winning the international division, and to KU for winning the college division. That hurt. The next day, we had the Ride the Fountains event, and we had our largest event to date with 425 bicycle riders who came out to ride through the fountains of the city. And then that coincided with the Festival of Fountains that took place at Union Station's Block Fountain. And so they kind of stayed around for their after party while other people came down for the Festival of Fountains. We had, I think, between 3,000 and 4,000 people attend that event down at Union Station. Thank you for coming out and making your little Lego fountain. I love that thing. I got one for my nephew, and I'm keeping it because it's so cute.
We put it up on a special shelf because it
Good.
was.
Yeah, Legoland, the master builder was down there helping the kids create little Lego fountains. But want to thank the City of Fountains Foundation for obviously putting that on and working together with us for the Ride the Fountains. And they at that time kicked off their Wish Upon a Fountain campaign, which you'll be hearing more about, or if you haven't already.
They've got something on Saturday too, haven't they, coming up?
Oh, they're starting these kind of promotional, gimmicky events called Splash Mobs, which they introduced at the festival. They have a group of kids from the Arts Tech who will be going around to our various fountains, I think every weekend through mid-August. They're choosing a different fountain, and they'll be just doing kind of some fun activities and just awareness and water-based activities. So if you stop by, plan to get wet, because there's little water guns and water balloons, I think, involved, as well as some arts activities. So these will just kind of raise awareness about our fountains and give people an opportunity to come out and donate to the fountains as well. Okay, after that, we had the flag retirement ceremony down at Washington Square Park, the Korean War Veterans Memorial on Flag Day. That we did that in partnership with that board. The Korean War Veterans, Missouri Korean War Veterans Memorial Board. Anyway, it was a first-time event. It was a wonderful event, and it is something that we are going to start doing annually to commemorate Flag Day. If you haven't gotten a chance to see it, there's some great pictures on Facebook from the event, and then there will be a story running on Channel 2. Actually, I think they're going to go ahead and just replay the whole thing. The mayor was down there. And it was just a really touching ceremony and very patriotic. It made you very proud to be an American. And then that evening, we had a dedication at 9th and Van Brunt for the new netting that the FBI Citizens Academy has donated to that facility to keep the soccer balls from going up and over and into the railroad tracks. So it's pretty tall netting. And that, again, was a nice event. We had the mayor come out for that as well. So. Also, this past weekend, we had the fishing derby at Spring Valley Lake, where a couple hundred kids got out and fished. And then, of course, as Jack Lowe talked about, the disc golf golf tournament, the Kansas City Wide Open, going on at 3 of our 4 disc golf courses. So, a little bit of a breather. Saturday at 10:30, as Travis mentioned, we will have the ribbon cutting and grand reopening of the Greg Kleist Community Center. We have a concert in the park, which I handed you out a flyer. Next week, this is our 2nd annual concert in the park at Roanoke Park. We do that in partnership with the Conservancy, Roanoke Park Conservancy, and the UMKC Conservatory. So that's a mouthful. But they send out a great little jazz band. And it's a beautiful, beautiful setting. That park, I think, is one of our most beautiful that we have. More information also about Party in the Park. As you know, July is National Parks and Recreation Month. This is kind of our sort of culminating event where we do activities in Swope Park, free activities for a day, and that will be on July the 20th. We are also going to be tweeting and posting on Facebook one activity to do in our parks, our facilities, every day of the month of July in celebration of National Parks and Rec. So I look forward to you retweeting that stuff.
I'm doing it right now.
One other thing is the Kansas City Heart of America Shakespeare Festival begins tonight in Southmoreland Park and runs through July the 7th, Tuesday through Sundays. No 4th of July. You'll have to check the calendar on the actual dates. But
What's the play?
it's As You Like It. And they're doing it in kind of a 70s theme, so it's kind of cool. They're wearing like flower child costumes, and mustaches are a big part of this somehow. And they're having a fake mustache night on when is that? Friday night. They're going to try to break the Guinness World Record for the most fake mustaches at one outdoor event. So if you have one, stop by. If not, I bet they're going to have them there and you can just borrow one. So, still kind of working on maybe a groundbreaking for the dog park in North Kansas City.
Yeah, we'll run into a little issues that are being, Lana's handling that for us.
Thanks, Lana. And then also one more thing. I know you're a runner. The Northland Neighborhood Association, or NNI's, Northland Hot Trot. If you want to be in it, let me or Shannon know. and you can have an entry, and that is July 13th at Hodge Park.
Guaranteed to be 100 degrees out.
Of course. And that's why I think, now that it's getting into the 90s, that's why Shakespeare in the Park's starting, because it's always very steamy for those.
And for those who are non-runners, there's a not too hot to trot.
The party, the after party. And there is a 1 mile walk, so.
Great, good
Okay.
report, Heidi.
Thank you.
Okay, now, public hearing. Thank you, ladies, for your patience. I know you've been here and sat through a longer than usual meeting, so Cynthia Kennedy, Hibbs Park.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Ms. Candy.
I'm here today for about the 20th time talking about Hibbs Park on 59th and Kensington. This is our second time that the PIAC informed us that we would get improvements in the Hibbs Park. And so far, it was supposed to get started May the 1st, 2013. I haven't seen anybody down there trying to do anything about that park. And we had been promised a new park years ago from some of our past council people, a lawyer and all. They have promised us a new Hibbs Park on the north side of the old Hibbs Park.
You know you can't trust lawyers.
Beg pardon?
I said, you know you can't trust lawyers.
I can't trust, no, you're right. And I want to say that man's name, but I'm not going to say it. Because he told us that he was going to go to churches and he was going to get public, he was going to get funds from the churches, large churches like Church of the Resurrection like that, to do this. I guess it must be big in the dollars because they had to do excavating at this area that they were talking about. But since they didn't do it, looked like he would have the common decency to put a playground equipment over there. You know who I'm talking about too, Mark McHenry.
Yeah, it's, I know Mr., you want me to say his name?
I don't care.
Tim
Because he told a
Dollar.
lie.
Tim Dollar.
Tim Dollar.
But I think the quick.
Oh, is this Precious Doe?
Yeah.
Years ago, he had us all marching, talking about he was going to get money to put equipment to do a new park, not put in nothing in the old one. But since they didn't have the decency to do anything with the old park, looked like they would go ahead on and try to improve the old park that don't have anything in it, nothing to draw kids in it. So we had asked for a tent, we had asked for playground equipment. We really need a basketball goal. They have 2 lots vacant next to it, 5925, 5929 Spruce, that they could go to the land bank and get that to make the little park we have larger, 5925 Spruce and 5929. See if you can get that and make it larger, and that way you can have area to put a basketball goal, because we don't have anything, and we're tired every time we have a picnic, we have to carry tents and shelter houses, and we did ask for a shelter house. They said they're going to give us a shelter house. But they said May the 1st, so far, nothing has happened. So we like to see, we want to know, have you heard anything, or when are you going to have
Well,
something
yeah,
happen?
I can answer your question. May 1st is when the money became available. And
Okay.
Congratulations on getting some PIAC money. I know you tried for several years. You did get some PIAC money this year. And I think they sent you the letter.
I got some before too, but we never did get nothing down there.
But this is the money that's available May 1st.
Okay.
And so what we would like for you to do, and it's similar to, you saw the presentation on Waterworks Park
Yes.
earlier. And we had folks from the neighborhood sit down with our staff and work through the plan. So what you put in the park is exactly the right thing for the people that they're going to use the park.
Okay.
And Scott Overbay, who is one of our landscape architects, has been assigned to that. And so Travis will make sure that you guys get together, and yourself and others in the neighborhood, to work out a master plan for what's going to make the changes. And then the money we have as of May 1st can be used to make those improvements.
Okay.
And-
Well, when are we going to get together for that? How long is it going to take?
Probably want to talk to Travis about it. You guys can put your head together and schedule something that works out, and he'll let you know what to expect, and so that, everybody's expectations can be managed. It's on our
Okay.
management.
We'll talk to Travis about that. Number 2, I have another little thing. That swimming pool over there in the Southeast Community Center, you need to get rid of that little 1 inch of water, 1 foot of water, and put a tarp on that and those 2 hot tubs, because there's no sense in paying for someone to be a lifeguard with that little bit of water. It's best to knock that out and have a decent lap, I think it's a lap-size swimming pool put there that we had already asked for, because we have too many children, 15 and 16, that are getting drowned because they don't have the knowledge to swim. And a lot of them, it's no sense in going up there to the Swope Park Community Center. You know, a brand-new community center should have never had swimming pools put down there like that, number one. And number two, we need to try to do something different and try to get a lap-sized pool put up there.
My understanding, Ms. Kennedy, was that before that pool was put in, we had members of the community come in, and it was decided by the community that that was the appropriate pool for that facility. And now that it's, were you guys there?
Yeah, they were all there. That wasn't the size pool we asked for.
It wasn't.
They must have I heard they ran out of money. But Terry Riley told us it was money there for a decent-sized swimming pool. And while we got that little, looked like a bathtub and 2 hot tubs at the side of it, that was just a waste of money to me. If you ran out of money, you should have just put a tarp down until you got money enough to put a decent swimming pool there. That's what I would think. I think by it being one of the newest Kansas City Park and Recreation buildings, that would be something that you would like to look at.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy. Mary Ann Henry? Henry, yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Good to see you again.
I was back again about my lights. I got to talk to Mr. Brooks from 5th District. He finally called me. But everybody talks to me, but nobody seems to be giving me anything specifically. I need specific things because I go back before the tourism fund in August. And I need specific things to take to them to show where this, because my neighborhood is not big enough to run money through. Where the money's gonna be run through and how it's gonna be done. So, I need to get, from Mark, I need to get specific stuff.
Let's talk.
Huh?
Let's talk.
Let's talk? Did you talk to Michael Brooks?
No, I have not talked to Michael Brooks. I did send him through an email some information, but I haven't talked directly.
You talked to the city manager?
Talked to the city manager, and Carmen also has talked to the folks at NTDF about it too. So I think we have some background information. It doesn't bring closure, we have some background information. So I think we just need to visit on it.
Okay, well, I need to do that before August, because August is when I go back for the tourism fund.
That's what, Carmen understood that, and talking to the Barbara, I believe, is that the lady that coordinates that? So we just need to talk, not necessarily right now, but we need to talk sometime between now and August.
Okay, and another thing I have, I heard on the television, now up north, the kids they have swimming lessons for free. Why is that?
Not sure I'd heard that. At one of our facilities.
Tiffany Springs, they have swimming lessons for free. I heard at Swope Park, it costs $35 for 8 sessions. Now, I'm taking my grandson, that's why I know. But I can afford to take him. But a lot of people would take their children, but they don't have that kind of money. So why is it that it's free up there and you have to pay down here?
Terry can follow up with you on that.
I definitely will.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not something we're aware of, so.
Yeah.
Because the children down here, they need to learn how to swim.
I understand. I learned how to swim with the swope pool, so I'm with you.
And another thing, about how much longer are we gonna have to put up with 63rd Street?
You will really like it when it's done.
I can't get in to go do my exercise up here.
We all drive through the same intersection. We understand it should be done by, I think, the 1st of July. Is that correct, Travis? August, okay. The 1st of August.
Thank Jesus.
And I agree with you 100%, because coming here this morning, or this afternoon, I was on a tight schedule, and oops, you can't get there from here.
We're doing,
We appreciate it.
the hardest part is the intersection, which they're doing right now.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Henry.
Okay, thank you a lot.
I'll get back to you, sir.
Tiffany Moore.
Good afternoon. I just came back to tell you that the first Family Art Day in Swope Park was a great success. We had about 61 kids registered. Not everybody showed up, but then we had some folks come that weren't registered. I wanted to make sure that I specifically thank Terry and Alan and Heidi and David for all the work that they did to help us get that together, as well as the folks with Friends of the Zoo, Julie. They sent some staffers out to talk about birds. It was a great day. I specifically ordered it to rain all night long and be done by 8, and it was perfect. So we hope to do it again, so maybe I'll be back here next year talking about this as well. But we had a great time. The kids really enjoyed it. The architecture teams that put together the projects were PGAV, VNIM, and El Dorado. El Dorado did these great terrariums, kind of reflective of their project with the greenhouse. We made those out of soda bottles, and PGAV did a diorama of a polar bear fishing in a shoebox, and someone in their team found an origami polar bear, and we had all kinds of origami polar bears floating around in the park. So it was great. BNIM did a craft for older kids where they actually nailed together birdhouses. So it was great. We hope to do it again, but I wanted to come back and say a very special thank you for the use of the facility and the help getting that event off the ground.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thank you, Tiff.
Being no further business, we're adjourned.